This is going to be a very basic overview of Meta Ads, just demystifying it so that it is easy to understand. So imagine that this is your ad campaign and the glasses are the ad sets, and you can have as many assets as you want in a campaign. Biscuits are the ads, or also known as creatives. So you can have as many of these creatives inside the asset. The way that Facebook works now is it's made it so simple for small businesses to be able to create their own ads without spending a lot of money on agencies. If you're a small business, we'll just have one campaign, one asset, and just put all of your creatives in that asset. Just let Meta work out where to show these ads. So you don't have to worry about top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom funnel, or anything else. At campaign level, you determine the objective, which means you can choose between awareness, traffic, leads, sales, and so on. Because I'm directing to an e-commerce business, either a service-based or a product-based small business, I would choose sales. Meta is really good at doing what it's told. So if you go and tell Meta to find you traffic or awareness, then it'll go and do that. For example, I have a fashion business, we sell party dresses. So when we choose a traffic campaign, Meta tries to find a lot of conversion because that's what it does really well. So it shows our ads out to a lot of men who like to see young girls in dresses. They don't necessarily want to buy the dresses, but we get a lot of traffic. If your aim is to get purchases, then you want to get real buyers and you would choose purchase. Unless you're something like a real estate agent or a charity or something like that, then maybe you would choose awareness or traffic. The budget can also be set on a campaign level. So let's say you've got $50 to spend per day on your ad. You can say, I want Meta to spend $50 on this campaign. So Meta, even if you have like two assets, will determine what's the best performing ads within the assets and just spread your money out the way it feels best. And for a beginner, I think that's a really good way to go, especially if you're only going to have one asset. On the asset level, you get to choose your conversion. So whether you want a website, course, an app. So if you're an e-commerce business, then obviously you want to direct all the traffic to your website. You also choose your performance goals. So you have like maximum number of conversion or maximum value of conversion, and then there are other things. But those are the two main things. The maximum number of conversion is, it tries to get a lot of people to buy. The maximum value of conversion is that Meta tries to find people who would spend more. So as a beginner, just try and get the numbers through. So the conversion event has options like add to cart, initiate checkout, or purchases. Something like an add to cart is easier to get than a purchase because a lot of people, you know how you shop, you just add things that you like to cart, but you don't necessarily go through the purchase. So it does cost a little bit more to choose the purchase option. It's also harder to get conversion. You can also set your budget in the asset rather than set it on the campaign. So let's say, for example, you had an asset that is add to cart, one asset that is purchase. So you want to spend less on the add to cart, say $20, and you want to spend more on the purchase. So you set $30. If you let Meta decide at a campaign level, then it would spend more on the add to cart because obviously it can find you more conversion and it wants to push that out rather than the purchase. You've got your ad placement. You can choose Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, WhatsApp, Threads, and all that stuff. So again, just leave that up to Facebook. But if you really want to and you know that you're not going to sell on WhatsApp and Messenger, you can take that out. Creatives are the actual ads that you create. You can also manually upload the ads or you can choose the Advantage Plus catalogs. For our fashion business, got a lot of variations in colors and sizes, and we might have run out of some of the options. So the Advantage catalog will error if you don't have everything available. Therefore, I do manual upload, but if you've got less things, you've got stuff that are always available, then you can choose the Advantage Plus catalog. For the format, you can choose flexible, single image, single videos, collection, or carousel. I like to choose flexible because I like to add in the same creatives. I like to even further divide it and add in stills and videos and maybe different types of variations of the videos. So for example, if I've got a certain top, I can do 2 videos and a still of the same top. I do recommend that you try a few videos because I find that videos for me convert a lot better than stills. Then you got the primary text, the headline, and the description, which is quite self-explanatory. So you can just use something like ChatGPT to help you with your SEOs there. And then you've got a call to action. So as an e-commerce business, I would put shop now. If you're like a service-based business, you can say call now, which means you've got to add in a number or learn more or send a message or something through DM. And there's tracking, so you need to get your pixels all set up. So do that before you even are ready to start an ad, because the pixel on your website collects data, performs better when the more data is collected. So make sure you have your pixels connected to your ad, which I'm using Shopify. It's relatively easy to set up a pixel there. After you've got everything all uploaded, the ad goes into a review process and then it goes into a learning phase if it's not errored somewhere. So when it goes into a learning phase, that means that it's trying to get 10 conversions within 3 days before it can exit the learning phase. The aim is to get it off the learning phase because you make more money. After a week or so and you reach learning limited, it means it can't get that number of conversions for you. Now you can do a few things, like you can broaden your audiences, but if you're using Advantage Plus and you're letting AI choose your audience, then that's not relevant. You can increase your budget, which allows Meta to spend more money reaching more people. As a rule of thumb, your budget should be your cost per result. Say it costs you $30 to get a result. You times that by 10 conversions, so that's $300, and then you divide it by 3 days, which then becomes $100. So you should be, as a rule of thumb, spending $100 a day on your ad. As a small business, I know that your budget is not always big. If you're happy with, say, less than 10 conversions in 3 days, that's profitable for you, then you don't really need to worry. You don't have to exit the learning phase because it's still learning. Even after learning limited comes on, you should be still making sales unless you're not, and then you might need to look at your creatives, and maybe your creatives are not performing very well. In your Facebook ad, you will have a spreadsheet and it would have some default data. And this is the data that I like to use. I look at the performance metrics. That means, the amount spent, which is campaign amount or asset amount, the result, and the cost per results. So results is like if there's any purchases that's gone through on the website, how much has that ad made, for example. Delivery metrics is the reach, the impressions, and the frequency. The reach is the unique number of people who saw the ad. Impressions is the total views, including the repeat people. And frequency is how many times the ad has been shown to those people. You want that frequency number low because you don't want your ad to be shown to the same people. The engagement metrics, hook, the hold, and the average playtime rate. So the hook and the hold is not a standard metrics. You have to go and create that. But the hook will tell you how good that video is hooking people in. So how good that video is stopping the scroll and people looking at the ad. The hold will tell you how good that video is holding the people so that they watch the video all the way through. And then the average playtime is how long that video has been watched as an average. So those are good metrics because sometimes a video can perform really well with the hooks but not with the hold. And then you can go back and you can recreate that video using perhaps multiple hooks or using a video that has good hold rate and combining with a good hook rate. The landing page click is a good indication of people looking at the ads and clicking onto your landing page. The click-through rate is how many people who have watched your ad and click through to the website or landing page or whatever URL you put there as the destination. And then there's the social signal. So there's also a good thing is how many people have shared that ad. It means that it is a good ad and they've shared it and that would push it out. So that's ads in a nutshell. I hope that helps. It can get a bit confusing, but once you get started and you just follow the bouncing ball, then it should become a bit easier.